What's going on? It's your man, Dr. Will, and you guys know the deal. Let me know what city, what state, what country you are chiming in from. Even if you're watching the replay, let me know what city, what state, what country you are chiming in from. I'm here on the beautiful island of St. Martin on this Friday evening, early Saturday morning for some of you, depending on where you are. So wherever you're chiming in from, let me know what city, what state, what country you are chiming in from. I'm just sitting here and I was preparing for an event that I have to speak at in the morning. And actually, I'm speaking for the next 4 or 5 days. I have an event tomorrow, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. So yeah. So the next 5 days, and so I'm just going over some of my my presentation information. And when I create a keynote or when I speak, I don't speak with notes, and I don't usually use a PowerPoint or anything like that. But there's a simple formula that I use that helps me, and so I just wanted to come tonight and share it with you guys. So as you're coming in, once again, just share where you're coming in from as well. So for me, I use a simple acronym, guys. I use a simple acronym whenever I'm creating a keynote, and that acronym is FIRE, F-I-R-E, FIRE. And I followed this template to help me impact the audience that I'm speaking to. I found out very early on in my speaking career that I didn't want to be a speaker that went out to try to impress people, but I really wanted to impact people. I really wanted them, after they heard me speak, I really wanted them to believe and know that they had some information that they could go and use in their everyday life. So if you're a speaker, whether you're beginning, whether you're mid-range, or you're an established speaker, you want to set a goal to impact people. You don't want to just get up with a bunch of theory and a bunch of stats and try to impress people so they can walk away saying, wow, that speaker was really smart. That's not the objective that you want. When I think about speaking, the first thing that I always do is I think about my audience. Stephen Covey, in his book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, he said one of those 7 habits is to always start with the end in mind. So as a speaker, you always want to start with your audience in mind. A lot of speakers begin with the information that they want to share, right? They start with the information that they want to share, but that's not where you want to start your keynote. You want to start your keynote with the audience in mind. So for me, whatever audience I go in front of, whoever invites me to come and speak, I always try to gather as much information as possible about the audience. Who am I going to be speaking to? Is it going to be predominantly women? Is it going to be predominantly men? Is it going to be a mix? Is it going to be teenagers? Is it going to be young adults? Who is it that I'm talking to, right? Who is it that I'm talking to? I want to have a full understanding of who my audience is going to be so I can start with the end in mind. What is the result? If I'm talking to a bunch of young adults, if I'm talking to a bunch of high schoolers, what is the preeminent thought that I want them to walk away with? Once again, I don't want them to be impressed by me. I don't want them to know how many degrees I have. I don't want them to know, how much I've traveled around the world. That's not going to impact their life, right? So I need to know who my audience is going to be so I can bring relevant information to them so it can be a transformational experience. So once again, you're not trying to impress them, but you are trying to impact them. So you want to gather as much information as you want. Now, I've been doing this for quite some time. So listen to what I'm saying and bring it back to where you currently are in your speaking business. So when people come and ask me to speak, I rarely get a topic that someone wants me to speak on. I rarely get a topic. Usually when someone comes and asks me to speak, they want me to speak. They want me to share my ideas. They want me to share my experiences. So I usually don't get a theme to speak about. When people ask me to come and speak, they want me, Dr. Will, to come and share some ideas, maybe around life success, business success, right? Just the philosophy of success. They just want me to come and share. So I rarely get topics. Now, when I first started out, people would give me topics based upon the theme of their conference or the theme of their event. So we're going higher, right? Can you speak about going higher? Or we're going to thrive in 2005 and all that kind of stuff, right? But now when I get out and speak, people are just wanting me to come and share. So based upon where you are in your speaking journey, you want to kind of think about that. So let's get into this acronym real quick because I'm getting ready to head to bed so I can be ready for tomorrow. But the acronym is FIRE. How to create a FIRE keynote. So number one, it has to be fun. If your keynote is going to be fire, it has to be fun. And when I say fun, it means fun for you. It should be a topic that you are excited to talk about. So if someone came up to me and they said, hey, Dr. Will, we have this conference. We would like you to talk about nuclear physics. Well, that's not going to be fun for me. That's not going to be fun for me. So I would decline that speaking engagement. So when I go out and speak now, I look at the event and I ask myself, is it going to be fun for me? Is it an event where I'm going to have fun? I know the participants that are going to be there. It's going to be fun because that's where your energy is going to come from. If you're not excited about the topic you're talking about, you're not going to bring the right energy. So for me, the foundation of having a fire keynote is only staying in what I call my genius zone. I only talk about things that motivate me, inspire me, things that I know something about. Can I go pick up a book and read about something? Sure. But for me, and I always use this illustration wherever I go and speak, this apple right here has traveled with me all around the world. Every 50 countries that I've been to, all the 39 states that I've traveled to go and speak, this apple is traveling with me tomorrow. I always use this because for speakers, I always say you should be talking from your core, right? What really excites you. So for me, if you ask me to talk about Apple, I can talk about apples all day. I can talk about apple fritters, apple pie, apple sauce, apple juice, candied apples, apple fritters. I can talk about apples all day. If you ask me to talk about lemons, I'm limited. I know what a lemon looks like. I know what a lemon tastes like, but I'm limited. But if you ask me to speak from my core, my apple, then I can talk all day and I'm going to be excited. So if you're working on a presentation, make sure it's something that's fun for you. Make sure the experience, the event is going to be something fun for you. The next thing is the I. The I. Make sure your talk, your keynote is informative, if that's the basis of why they're bringing you in, or it needs to be inspirational, right? So depending on why they're bringing you in, sometimes they're going to bring you in, and so it needs to be informative. Give people information that they can use. Sometimes it's going to be inspirational. Sometimes people say, Dr. Will, we just want you to come in and share your story. How did you grow up in Compton, California, and to do what you're doing now? Can you come and share that story? So the I in FIRE is your keynote needs to be informative or it needs to be inspiring. It's going to fall in those two categories, right? Informative or inspiring. Number 3, in FIRE, it needs to be relatable. It needs to be relatable. So your stories the data, the examples that you use, they should all be used to help your audience relate to what you're talking about. So whenever you're speaking, the stories that you use, it should connect with the point that you're trying to make. Have you ever heard a speaker and they start going off on rabbit trails, and then you ask yourself, what are they talking about? Well, what are they talking about? And now you can't relate to their keynote. You can't relate to the information that they're sharing. So as a speaker, as a presenter, at work, when you're giving presentations, you want to make sure the information that you're sharing, that is relatable. The data that you're sharing, it's relatable, right? The examples that you use, it's relatable. And then the E in FIRE is it needs to be executionable, right? Can they execute on the information that you just gave them? Can they use the information? Can they walk away with that information saying, I can do something with this? I can do something. They can go and execute on the information you shared. If you gave them a 1, 2, 3, ABC, do, re, mi, they could leave there saying, this is my next step. If I want to get from A to Z, this is what I need to do. If I want to accomplish this, this speaker just gave me the tools to be able to go build my own castle. So can they execute on the information that you just shared? So guys, that's how you create a FIRE keynote. I use these 4 principles. Is it going to be fun for me? Is it a topic? Is it an event that's going to be fun for me? If it's not fun for me, I'm not going to speak at it. I'm going to decline that. I'm going to say you may want to go find another speaker. I'm not the right speaker for that. So if it's not fun for me, if it's not information that I have a grasp on, if it's not something that I feel that I can add value to, then I'm not going to do the event. The second thing is informative or inspirational, right? You're sharing information that's either informative or inspirational. Number 3, all your stories, examples, and data, they need to be relatable. They need to connect to what point you're trying to make. And then the E, can they execute on what you just told them? Have you made it so plain that they leave there with confidence saying, boom, I know my next step. If you do this, guys, these 4 things, you'll always walk away with a FIRE keynote. You'll always walk away with a FIRE keynote. And then remember what I said from the beginning, always start with your audience, right? With your audience in mind, How can you help them? How can you empower them? They shouldn't just walk away saying, oh man, that speaker was impressive. Well, what did they talk about? Man, they shared some good stuff. But what are you ready to go do? Man, I just know that, man, they were impressive. That's not the response that you want. You want them to say, I now know what I need to do. I walk away. I got some things that I can execute on. That's how you create a FIRE keynote, guys. You stay in your sweet spot. Stay speaking from your core, right? Stay speaking from your core. You're going to be tempted, right? When you're first speaking, that people will come and ask you to speak on all different types of topics. And I know you may say, I'm just going for the check. But if you really want to have longevity in the speaking game and you really seriously want to make an impact, then you want to stick to your core. So that's what I wanted to share with you guys. I just wanted to jump on here before I turn into bed. I hope it helps you out. I hope it gives you something to think about. And when you're going to sit down and creating your next FIRE keynote. All right, guys, have a fabulous night, the rest of your night, or a fabulous morning. And I'll talk to you guys later.